Hey everybody, what's up? It is me, Seth, and I'm here with Julie today. She is somebody who is in one of the Facebook groups, one of the parents, and she had posted this picture and a little description of how she was doing scheduling with her kids. And I thought that one of the biggest problems that people are going through right now is the lack of structure and lack of schedule. And then how do you get buy-in? Now, Julie has younger kids, if I'm not mistaken, and we'll dive into that in a minute. So it makes it a little bit easier than if you're dealing with a super resistant teenager and trying to get them to schedule. But nonetheless, she has some really key elements that I asked her if she'd be willing to share with all of you. So again, hi, I'm Seth with SethPerler.com, executive function coach in Colorado, and help students navigate school so they can have a great life. So, Julie, how did you come up with this idea for your schedule?
Well, after being home with my kids and trying to work for a couple of weeks, I tried giving them very rigid schedules. I would write out what they were supposed to be doing at every point of their day, and I got a lot of pushback and a lot of work that wasn't being done. So I knew I needed something more creative and something my kids could take a part in too. So I have a big bulletin board wall in my house, and I wrote out index cards. So the white index cards that are in the middle go from top to bottom, and those are time periods of the day in like 30-minute increments. And I have two kids, so then each of them got a side of that column to add their own cards. So I made pink cards for things they had to do. If they had a phone call for school that they needed to get onto at a certain time of day, and it was mandatory, those were pink. And then for one kid, I made yellow cards, the other kid green cards. And those were things as their parent, I wanted them to do, spend extra time reading or doing math or getting some exercise outside. And then some things are their entertainment, TV, video games. So I told them every night that I wanted them to start building their schedule, coming up here after dinner, and arranging the cards for the next day so that they had a say in how they went through their tasks. And after using it for about a week, it's pretty successful. There's a lot less whining, a lot less I'm bored, I don't know what to do, can you help me figure something out? So I think it's working quite well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And for parents who are taking notes, I think there are so many awesome elements that you just flew through so fast that are so good. I really want to I really want people to hear those. One of the elements that you talked about was the buy-in, where at first you had it really rigid and then you transferred to flexible. Can you tell us a little more about buy-in and rigidity and flexibility?
Well, I just know, as my own person, I like to do things that are my own idea, things that I want to do. And so I've known over the years that if I can get my kids to see a benefit or it be their idea, then there's a lot more self-motivation that comes out of them. So I knew the new schedule I created, they had to feel like they had control of part of it, and they do, and that feeling of control is, I think, comforting to most of us.
And have they gotten better at it over time, where it's just more of a habit now?
Yes, and they will realize that even if they forgot to put something in, they will go in that next day as they're going about their day and rearrange. Or if they moved through items more quickly than they'd scheduled, then maybe their free time and their entertainment time shifts upward, and some things go, cards go away. So I think they find it helpful to regulate their time.
And do you have a stack of more cards in case there are other things that you need to add in, or does that cover all the bases for you?
No, there are extras. So there's always a surplus of cards for any given day, and off to either side of the board behind me, each kid has their little surplus on a separate thumbtack that they can go and they can have some choices for what their extracurricular activities are in any given day.
And those are just pre-made, right? Those are already made.
Yes, those are
Okay.
pre-made. Those were all my ideas. Again, things I think they should be doing as their parent. Now, I haven't gotten the question from either of my children, for them to create cards for something that they see as missing, but I anticipate that coming at some point.
I like that you're anticipating that and expecting it, because when we can anticipate things, then we can think through how we want to deal with that, and then we can have a more creative way of approaching it when it happens. So, what's your thoughts as to when they start saying, "Hey, can I make my own card?" Or what are you thinking?
Um, yeah, I think that'll be just a back and forth discussion, giving them the cards, and they're pretty reasonable little people. So I think they'll come up with some good ideas of things they want to do. Obviously, being homebound, they're both very active and would like to be out and about and going places and seeing friends. So I think this is making them be a little more creative. So I trust them that when they come up with their own ideas, they'll be good ones and ones that they actually need for themselves.
Can you zoom in close, put the camera up, or take down one of the time cards and then one of the pink
Mm,
ones and then one of the other ones?
okay.
Oh, nice. That works. You gotta speak though, so it
Okay,
there
sorry.
we go.
I'm just trying to figure out how to hold this. Okay.
Y
Okay. So, yeah, this is kind of right around the lunch hour. So, one of my kids has a pink phone call for their English class. Um, and after that, I actually put lunch on a card. Everybody needs to be reminded, I think, to eat and participate in self care at these times. So there's cards for lunch. Also made cards for quiet time. Some things in our busy lives that are a little less busy now that maybe we forget to do. So there's other things, playing musical instruments, getting outside, exercising, building Legos, choices like that.
And why do you do the night before? Which, by the way, there is a lot of research showing that if we plan the night before, that we are more effective. But why did you choose to do the night before?
Um, I guess that's how I go about my day. I know I try not to obsess about my next day in the evening, but just kind of put some placeholders in my own mind of what is expected the next day, what I'm anticipating, so that there's no surprise, no stress about it. So if the kids participate in the evening looking ahead to the next day, then they wake up with a little bit of a plan in their mind, and there's not any rush of, oh my goodness, what do I need to be doing?
Awesome. And you've got younger kids. So for those of you watching, if you have older kids, it's going to look different. You might be doing a week schedule at a time. You might have a combination of a week and then the daily, which I think is really powerful because I always talk about making a daily plan. And if you watch the video that I talked about at the beginning of the pandemic, I was talking about how important it is to have a visual weekly plan. But using the two together is so, so, so powerful. So, Julie, is there any one thought that if you had a magic wand and you could, you know, give all the parents watching one final tip, or you really wish that they would have one great takeaway? Is there any final thought you want to leave them with?
Um, I guess embrace creativity. I came up with the rigid schedule at the beginning because I'm a rigid, regimented type person, but that doesn't work for my kids and it doesn't work for everyone. So I have to often remind myself, even throughout any given day, to be creative, to be flexible. And I would say that is my big takeaway. Even with the general structure of this tool, I think there's a lot of room for even more creativity using it.
Yeah, one thing that I was thinking on those that parents could do is you could pull them off the wall and if they want, if, for more buy-in, say, hey, do you want to draw an icon on each of these? And they could put a drawing on the cards to symbolize reading and art and lunch and what have you. Or they could even cut things out of a magazine and glue or tape on a little picture of something that reminds them of that thing to make it more visual for those of you that have kids that are very artistic and visual. So well, Julie, thank you so much. I hope this helps people. If this does help you, you can leave a comment, tell us your ideas or your thoughts about this. And I'm we really appreciate you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your community.
All right. Thanks, Julie.